Alright, what's up everybody? We are live for the Defenders and the Storm here in week 9 of the UFL. The game kicked off 40 seconds ago. The Storm actually fumbled the opening kickoff, but we're able to get it back. But we are a couple plays in, and the Storm going to have a third and about 3 on their next play. But welcome to the stream, everybody. We've got the Storm and the Defenders. Two probably playoff teams. The Storm have already locked up their playoff spot. Defenders can clinch this week. Although, obviously going to be tough playing without Jordan Ta'amu. Spencer Sanders will get the start at quarterback. So that answers that question. So we'll see him in a little bit. 3rd and 1. Plummer going to look to throw. Plummer is just going to flip this underneath. Corbin makes the catch, and Corbin's got the first down. They move the chains on 3rd and short. And it's a first down for the Storm. Alright, there is the poll. Be sure to vote on that. So 1st and 10 from the 35. Here's Plummer to throw. Plummer gets pressured, and again, I'll just check down in the flat. And gain of about 3 right here. Jack Plummer now 3 for 3, 13 yards. He's got the best touchdown-interception ratio in the NFL. 12 touchdowns, 1 interception. He's had a pretty solid year for the Storm. I'll pull up his exact numbers in a second. 2nd and 7. Plummer in shotgun, got a back to his left. And they're going to go to the ground. Here is Corbin up the middle, but he goes nowhere. Stopped at the line. The Storm offense has not had an opening drive. Not even touchdown, just points on their opening drive since week 1. So definitely not great. Try to remember what they did last week. I think they missed a field goal on their first drive last week. But here is a 3rd down and 7. Plummer in shotgun. He will look to throw. Plummer underneath. That is caught by Rowan. Got a lot of space after the catch. And the former DC defender still on his feet. Rowan down the sideline inside the 30. Gets a block downfield. Rowan all the way. Touchdown Storm. What a catch and run for Chris Rowan and the Storm. They get their first scoring drive on the opening drive since week 1. And they take the early lead over the Defenders. Man, what a catch and run. Jack Plummer with his 13th touchdown pass. And Chris Rowan with a... What is that? A 63-yard catch and run? The Defenders should have him right here. They should have him at about midfield. DeAndre Baker's there. There's another defender as well. But he makes both of them miss. And he's down the sideline for a Storm touchdown. And here is Lance to add the extra point. And it is right down the middle. So 7-0 as the Storm take the early lead over the Defenders. A big play for Chris Rowan, the former DC defender. And they're on the board first. He also just realized they did not have the ball marker up. But a really nice catch and run. As Rowan finds the end zone. And it is now 7-0 Storm. Jack Plummer leads the UFL in passing yards coming into the week, 1,711. And he is 3rd in touchdowns. behind Austin Reed and Jordan Ta'amu. Although his one interception is really good. Obviously. Anytime you throw one pick in 8 games, that's quite good. And Chris Rowland, he actually leads the UFL in catches coming into the game with 41. And that is his 4th receiving touchdown. He's got 367 yards. Now, obviously more after that one. But it was a 62-yard catch and run for Chris Rowland, the former defender. I'm going to pull up the exact numbers, but I think he spent last year and the year before with the Defenders as well. Let's see, he was with, the Defenders in 2024 and 2025. Last year he had a great year, 522 yards, 3 touchdowns on 42 catches. The year before that was nothing amazing, 262 and 3 touchdowns. And then the 2 years before that, he was with the Philadelphia Stars in the USFL. But he's had a pretty good spring football career. So they're back from commercial. The Defenders will get it to open up the game. Or for their first possession now. That's what I should say. So Spencer Sanders and the Defenders offense about to take the field. He will get the start. Last week he went 7 for 15, 83 yards, ran for 27 yards, and threw an interception. I don't think he played that well. I thought I muted my phone. I don't think he was terrible. But we'll see what he can do in his first professional start. The former Oklahoma State quarterback also spent some time at Ole Miss, but most known for his time at Oklahoma State. So let's see what he can do. First play, he's going to hand off Deion Jackson to the right side. Deion Jackson breaks free. Jackson into the secondary inside Storm territory. And a big run on the first play from scrimmage for the Defenders. A really nice run. And a great first play from scrimmage. So from the Storm 43, they will keep it on the ground. But this time Sanders keeps on the option. He goes nowhere. So he loses about 5 yards on the play, maybe 6 yards. And it is second down. He kind of just accepted his fate right there. If he handed it off, that was going nowhere. If he kept it, it was going nowhere. So, he's kind of accepted that. 2nd and 14. After that one. Here is Sanders handing off. Here's Jackson again. And he'll get those 4 lost yards back. And it's now 3rd and 10. Actually, they're going to mark it 3rd and 12. But the Defenders, they've got 2 plays to get this. They cannot punt being inside Storm territory on this drive. So 3rd down and 12. 9:35 to go in the first quarter. Storm lead by 7. This is Defenders offense. They're the second best 3rd down team in the league. 44%. Sanders to throw for the first time. Underneath that is caught by Cornell Powell, and he's got the first down. So Powell picks up 12, and he moves the chains. As Sanders completes his first pass. Storm defense just sitting back in coverage right there and playing very soft and allowing the catch and run for the first down. So 1st and 10. They go back to the ground. Here is Xavier Valade. Had a huge game last week, but nothing happening right here. Last week, Valade, I believe, he was over 100 yards. He was great. Defenders as a team ran the ball really effectively last week. Ran for 218 yards. Here is a 2nd and 9. 8.5 minutes to go. So Sanders in shotgun, got it back to his left from the 32. And here is Valade again. He goes up the middle and fights through a tackle for a gain of about 5. And it brings up another defender's 3rd down. So 3rd and 2 from the 25. This has been a pretty good opening drive for the defenders. Most have been done on the ground. So 3rd and 2. Storm bring a blitz. Sanders throws outside. It is almost intercepted. The defender got his hands on it. And he had a pick 6 in his hands. But that's why he plays defense. Sanders is trying to hit Cornell Powell on an out route. The corner is able to get underneath it, and he's got it in his hands, and he drops it. That was a great opportunity for the Storm to double their lead. Because I mean, if he catches that, I don't care. He's got 75 yards to run. He is gone. But now here is a field goal try for the defenders. 43 yards, and Matt McCrane. It is good. So both teams with points on their opening drive. And it is now 7-3. So it is 7-3 with 7:04 to go after a 43-yard field goal from Matt McCrane. And the defenders a lot on the ground right there. They go 46 yards, 35 of them are on the ground. But they are very lucky. It is 7-3 right now, not 14-0. So I don't know who that was who had the interception, but he had it right in his hands. And just did not make the play. But we wait for them to come back from commercial. So they are back from commercial. The Storm get the ball back. 7:04 to go in the opening quarter. And this kick going to be brought back by Deshaun Corbin from the 6-yard line. And Corbin's got nowhere to go. And he brings it back to the 24. Jack Plummer has not thrown a pick, his last 206 pass attempts. That is the longest streak in UFL history. So he's going to hand off here. And a gain of about 3. Jack Plummer, he's only thrown 1 pick on the year. I wonder when that was. I mean, it's got to be early. Well, if he's gone 200 attempts without it, say he throws about 25 times a game, that's 8 games. So probably back in week 1 or week 2. It's been a while. 2nd and 7. Defender showing blitz right here. And Plummer hands off. Corbin to the right side. And Corbin a solid runs. He falls forward for about 4, maybe 5 yards. I'm going to pull up the game logs for Jack Plummer. And see when that interception actually happened. So 3rd and short right here. They gave Corbin 5 on that previous play. 3rd and 2. Play clock nearly runs out. They just get the play off, and Rowland another completion to Rowland. Plummer another completion to Rowland. To the 45-yard line. He's now 5 for 5. And another 3rd down conversion. And a 1st down for the Storm. Jack Plummer, his 1 interception, it came back in week 2 against the Kings. We've got an injured defender down on the field. So hopefully he's okay. But Plummer's interception, oh, I do remember that. That was in the end zone. It was in the end zone near the end of week 2. But it's his only pick of the year. So he has done a really good job taking care of the ball. And I think he's probably the MVP frontrunner at this point. No Jordan Ta'amu. I mean, he's out for the year. I think he was probably going to win MVP if he just doesn't get hurt. Just because his numbers are really good. But I think it's probably going to be Jack Plummer. I mean, I at least think he's the front runner at this point. Because he's got obviously an insane touchdown interception ratio. He leads the league in passing yards. He's 2nd in touchdowns. And like, if it's not Plummer, who is it? Like, I'm really not sure. Because I feel like there's nobody else who's really like in that MVP race. Like last year, you had guys like Bryce Perkins. You had Jordan Ta'amu, obviously. But it was like last year, you had some guys put up really good numbers. But I feel like we just haven't seen elite numbers get put up this year. Like, I'm going to go back to last year. Last year, Ta'amu was the 2nd leading passer. He had 17 touchdowns. 2,100 yards. And I mean, he had the better numbers last year, but Perkins ended up winning MVP just because of his valuable impact. But like, there wasn't like these elite players last year who, outside of those two, and I feel like it's kind of the same way this year. Like last year, maybe you could have made an argument for like Deshaun Corbin if the Brahmas were good, but they weren't. Like I feel like it's kind of this year too. Like there's not really somebody who's really standing out for MVP outside of Tayama, who's now gotten hurt. But a 1st and 10 here from the 46 as they're back from commercial for the injury timeout. And we've now got a flinch by a Storm offensive player, so a false start, and that'll back him up 5. But Jack Plummer's gotten off to a great start. He's 5'5", 87 yards, and a touchdown. 62 of those yards came on one play. But still a nice start for the Storm quarterback. Play clock winding down here. Plummer wants it reset. And now he's going to go talk to the official as the Storm sideline calls timeout. I don't know. Plummer seemed confused about that, but the Storm, they're forced to burn a timeout to not go backwards another 5 yards. And it stays 1st and 15. So 1st and 15 from the 40 after the timeout. Plummer throws outside. There's Roland again. This time a nice tackle. And he only gains a yard. As opposed to gaining like 50 yards after the catch. Last drive when he scored the touchdown. So it is 2nd and long. Okay, apparently he just skipped a play. I don't know why. I hate how it does that. But it is now 3rd and 15. Because for some reason, Plummer threw an incompletion, I guess. Because he's now 6 for 7. But it's 3rd and 15. I didn't even know I was behind. Plummer steps up. And over the middle of that pass is caught. And that is short of the marker. But it gets him inside defender's territory. So they now have to go for this on 4th down. It's 4th and about 3. And they have to go for it. With 3 minutes left in the first quarter. So it's 4th and 2 from the 46. Plummer just gets it off. Defenders bring a blitz. Plummer outside. Almost intercepted. But it's knocked away. And they turn it over on downs. Jack Plummer almost just saw his interceptionless streak come to an end. It was a very similar play to the pick the play the defenders almost threw the pick on. It's an out route where the defender is able to undercut the ball. But in both cases, it gets dropped. although this one was a little bit tougher of a catch. But the Storm, they turn it over on downs. And I just realized I already had the ball marker with the defender, so I'll just keep it over there. But they turn it over on downs, and the defenders take over with good field position with 2:35 to go into the first quarter. That drive, 7 plays, 28 yards. After the first one, 6 plays, 77 yards. The defenders on their first and only drive, they went 8 plays, 46 yards. And now we'll see what they can do on their second possession. Just give me 1 second. Hold on 1 second. Alright, we're now back from commercial. It is a 7-3 Storm lead, but the defenders with the ball after the defense forces turnover on downs. And we've got some early movement here. Somebody comes flying across early, and they're going to call it against the defenders for a false start. So it's 1st and 15 after the penalties. Both teams get backed up early in their drives. We just saw the Storm with a delay game, or almost a delay game after a false start. So 1st and 15. Sanders in shotgun back to his right. And here is the handoff to Deion Jackson. He breaks 1 tackle and gains about 3. That'll make it 2nd down. There's a defender's receiver saying get a face mask pulled. There's no flag. And we've also got an injured offensive lineman on the play for the defenders. So hopefully he's okay. With 2:19 to go in the first quarter. So hopefully he's okay. It is number 70. I think he's their left tackle. Not completely sure though. But they'll go to another commercial for the injury. Hopefully he's okay. And it's not a serious injury or anything like that. Alright, but again, we wait for them to come back from commercial. It is a 7-3 Storm lead. And hopefully the injured player for the defenders is okay. We have 2:19 to go in the opening quarter. So it is... Yeah, it's Durant, Yasir Durant, who's helped off the field for the defenders. Number 70, 6'7", 348 pounds. And I do believe he was their left tackle. So that is, now you're playing with a backup quarterback, a backup left tackle. It's going to be tough for the defenders. Sanders going to throw. He steps up and he goes deep downfield. And that is caught inside the 20 down to the 11-yard line. Kiki Kuti with the catch. And the defenders a big play and they're inside the red zone. What a throw by Spencer Sanders. It was right on the money. And it's 1st and 10 from the 11. And now here is Jackson to the left side. He fights his way down to the 3-yard line. As he gains another 8 yards. And it's now 2nd and 2 from inside the 5. So a really nice play right there. Or a couple plays. Sanders now 2 for 3, 55 yards. So 2nd and 2 from the 3. Sanders in shotgun back to his left. And Sanders hands it off. Jackson. Touchdown. Patiently waited for a hole to open up. He finds it and the defenders, they take their first lead of the day. They capitalize off the turnover on downs. And they're into the end zone for the first time. And it's about to be 10-7. The big throw by Spencer Sanders sets him up. Then Jackson into the end zone. And the defenders take their first lead of the day. So here is McCrane for the extra point. Made a 43-yard field goal a few minutes ago. And this time the extra point is good. And it puts the defenders up 10-7. So a big play from Spencer Sanders. And the touchdown for Deion Jackson. It's a 4-play, 59-yard drive. It was a 45-yard pass from Spencer Sanders. And then the touchdown for Deion Jackson, who's already run it 5 times for 46 yards, as he has his 7th rushing score of the year. And he could have a UFL record when it comes to rushing touchdowns in a season. Like, he leads the UFL in rushing touchdowns this year. Now it's 7. Last year's rushing touchdown leader was Toa Tawa, who had 6. And when we go back to 2024. Yeah. Ricky Person ran for 6. So that is a UFL record, 7 rushing scores in a season. So a nice job there for Deion Jackson. And now the Storm come back on the field offensively, as they trail for the first time. 51 seconds to go in the first quarter. Storm right now outgaining DC 111 to 106. And 101 of their 111 yards have come through the air. So 1st and 10 for the Storm from their own 40. So here is Jack Plummer, and he'll hand off. Corbin up the middle, but he goes nowhere, and he gains just a yard. This is a run game for the Storm that has just not been that great recently. Like, they started the year running the ball pretty well, but the run game has been pretty bad recently. I mean, I know they technically ran for like 130, I think it was last week, but a lot of that was just Jack Plummer run, because he had a 71-yard rushing touchdown. But they have not run the ball that well. So here is a 2nd and 9. Here's Plummer, look to throw. He's got time. And that is a low throw, but a catch made for a first down, gain of 13, as Camper makes the play. And that's going to bring us to the end of the first quarter. So a pretty good start for both sides on the offensive side of the ball, as the defenders lead 10-7. Both teams find the end zone into the first quarter, and the defenders lead by 3 after 1. Jack Plummer, a really good first quarter. He goes 8 for 10 for 113 yards and a touchdown. Chris Rowland's already got 4 catches for 82 yards and a score. And Deion Jackson's run it 5 times for 46 yards. But at the end of 1, the Storm outgaining the defenders 124 to 105. And both teams moving the ball really effectively. The Storm at 8.3 yards per play, defenders at 9.5. We also saw Deion Jackson set the new UFL record for rushing touchdowns in a season. In the UFL. Although I'm going to look... That is actually not the modern spring football record, including the XFL and the USFL. When we just pull up... The XFL record was 7, but the modern spring football record, so including the USFL and the XFL, is actually 14. Mark Thompson ran for 14 touchdowns as a member of the Houston Gamblers back in 2023. That's right, he had that insane year where in 8 games, he ran for 655 yards and 14 touchdowns. Wes Hills also had a great year that year, running for 10 scores. Yeah, Mark Thompson hasn't been in the UFL the past couple years, but he was so good in 2023. 2022 as well. But specifically 2023 with the Gamblers, he was insane. And I think he won Offensive Player of the Year that year. Yeah, he did. He was the 2023 USFL Offensive Player of the Year. I mean, the Gamblers still weren't the greatest. I think they went 5-5 that year, but he had a really good season. But we still wait for them to come back from commercial right here. 10-7 Defenders lead at the end of the first. The Storm, the only team to clinch a playoff spot right now, but the entire league is still in the playoff hunt, including the Aviators, who are probably not going to make the playoffs. Let's just be real about that, but they're technically still alive. I don't really know how they make the playoffs, though. They would need everybody else to lose out. So here is a quick screen to KJ Hamler in the first play of the second quarter. Picks up about 5. So 2nd and 4. Plummer off play action. Gets pressure, but he lets one go deep downfield. And wide open receiver caught. Touchdown. Elijah Badger wide open. And the Storm retake the lead. Jack Plummer, another long touchdown. Elijah Badger makes the catch. And the Storm are back in front. I don't know what happened there. He was wide open. There was nobody near him. And Elijah Badger finds the end zone. Plummer, his second touchdown pass, he's closing in on 200 yards already. He's now probably close to 175. But another big play, touchdown through the air. Lance nails the extra point, and it's 14-10. But Elijah Badger gets behind the defense for a 41-yard touchdown. Plummer is up to 160 yards passing and 2 touchdowns. And Elijah Badger makes his first catch of the game, and he catches his 5th score, which might lead the league. That actually ties a few players for the league lead. Tyler Vaughns, Ty Scott, and Emmanuel Butler all have 5. But Badger now tied for the league lead. He's another guy who's had a great year. But it is now 14-10. After that one, 14:30 still to go in the first half. Another quick touchdown drive for the Storm. 4 plays, 60 yards. Their first one, only 6 plays, 77 yards. But they've scored 2 touchdowns in 3 drives. And they lead this one 14-10. With 14:30 to go in the 14:30 to go in this first half. Now we'll see how the defenders respond as they get the ball back. So they're back from commercial. You got John Gruden at the game. I saw before on Twitter he's at the game. So the kickoff is away. Storm up by 4. And the kickoff gets dropped here, but then it gets picked up and get brought back. But he's not going to recover as he gets stripped up the 21-yard line. So good kick coverage, and dropping the kickoff hurts him in terms of field position. And we'll see what the defenders do on their next drive. Yo, why is John Gruden sitting on the field? Why not invite him up to the box if you're going to have him on the broadcast? But here is a 1st and 10, and a handoff to Abram Smith up the middle for a gain of 4. So 2nd and 5, as they actually gave him 5 in the first down carry. So here is Abram Smith again, and he gets another 5 and another first down. So 1st down here for the defenders after some nice runs to start the drive. Abram Smith still in at running back. Ball now to 32. Here is Smith again. And again, he's got a nice run. Another 5 yards. That is 3 nice runs in a row for Abram Smith. Brings up 2nd and 5. This is a Storm defense that did not defend the run that well last week. They allowed like 140 or something like that to the Renegades. So 2nd and 5. Another handoff. This time Smith goes nowhere as he's stopped in the backfield. He loses 3. And it backs him up to a 3rd and 7. Isaiah Buggs, the former Kansas City Chief, with the tackle for loss. So here is a 3rd and 9. Sanders in shotgun back to his left. Storm bring a blitz. Sanders gets pressure, rolling to his right. Buying time, and he sidearms one downfield. It is high and knocked away. He's incomplete on 3rd and 9. It brings up 4th down. And the Storm defense going to force a defender's punt. Isaiah Buggs involved there again. So he gets pressure on Sanders. And force him to get outside the pocket. So it's 4th down. And here's a punt. First punt of the day for either side. So the punt is away, and it is a good kick. As it goes out of bounds at the 14-yard line. Man, what a punt. That was a really good kick. And the Storm backed up pretty deep inside their own territory. With 11:10 to go. In the first half. So 1st and 10. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I forgot about that rule. So they start at the 25. And Stewart, or actually that's Dotson, gets thrown down at the line of scrimmage. But I forgot about that rule. Because the punt went out of bounds inside the 20, the ball comes out at the 25 like a touchback. Because there's no coffin corner in the UFL. I hate that rule. So even though it looked like a really good punt, it really wasn't for UFL rules. That is one rule in the UFL I do not like. So here's a 2nd and 10. Plummer outside. That is caught by Badger. And he gains 7. Makes it a 3rd down and 3. With 10:31 to go in the first half. So 3rd down. Plummer in shotgun. Going to back to his right. Bring a man in motion. Plummer going to throw on 3rd down. He floats one down the sideline. It's high and almost intercepted. Badger the intended target again. But that time Plummer misses high. And it's 4th down. This time the defender gets hands on it. But I don't really think he's completely expecting the ball to reach his hands, so he's not prepared to actually catch it. So here's a 4th and 4, and the teams will trade punts here in the 2nd quarter. Some pressure on it, but it's still away cleanly. And this is a big punt, and it's going to bounce into the end zone for a touchback. So it'll be brought out to, I believe, the 25-yard line. And that's where Spencer Sanders and this DC offense will take over for their next drive. 9:17 to go. That was a 68-yard punt. Went so far all the way into the end zone. It was a 52-yard punt by the defenders that went out of bounds, so was another good one, although that one was a touchback, and this one is a touchback as well. So the teams traded scoring drives. Then they turned it over on downs, the Storm that is. The defenders scored a touchdown off that. The Storm responded with a touchdown of their own. Now they've traded punts. With 9:17 to go in the 2nd quarter. Alright, so they're now back from commercial. The defenders with the ball back at the 25-yard line after the punt with the touchback, and we'll see what they can do down by 4. So 1st and 10 from the 25. Sanders in the offense back out there. Xavier Valade in at running back. So they'll give it to Valade up the middle. He's got a lot of space, and Valade gains 9 before he's tripped up. But a nice first down run brings up 2nd and short. So 2nd and 1. Valade goes nowhere. He got dropped for a loss as soon as he got the ball. Isaiah bugs again. And it's now 3rd and about 4. Valade stood no chance in that play. Isaiah bugs into the backfield very quickly again. And it's 3rd down. So here is Sanders to throw on 3rd down. Sanders pocket collapsing. Got a flag that comes down, and Sanders has a lot of space. He's going to run. And he's got the 1st down to the 48, but I think this one's going to come back. I think this is going to be a hold or hands to face, something like that. Yeah, we got a face mask called against the offense. Yeah, somebody had their helmet ripped off, or partially ripped off. And after that penalty, it brings them from a 3rd and 4. They got the conversion all the way back to a 3rd and 19. So 3rd and 19 all the way back at their own 16. Sanders pressured. 2 linemen run into one another. Sanders is going to run it again. And Sanders gets pretty close. He ends up getting about 16 yards. He needed 19. But he comes up a few yards short, and it brings up 4th down. So the Storm will get the ball back. As their defense now forced back-to-back punts. Wow. They almost blocked. I don't know how they didn't. But again, this punt goes out of bounds. This time it's not inside the 20, so it's not going to get brought out to the 25 because it goes out of bounds near right to 30. But we'll see exactly where the Storm will get the ball. And Jack Plummer and the offense back onto the field. Hey, how's it going? Welcome to the stream. Jack Plummer, 11 for 14, 167 yards, 2 touchdowns so far. Plummer off play action, and he sets up the screen here, but that doesn't really go anywhere, as they'll gain just a yard. Maybe 2, and it brings up 2nd down. Got 6:15 to go in the first half. 2nd and 8. And now they'll go to the ground. Here is Corbin up the middle. And Corbin picks up 5. So 3rd and about 3 right here for the Storm. 5:40 to go into the second quarter. So 3rd and 3. Defenders bring 4. Plummer goes deep downfield, and that pass is caught. Wow! What a catch! Camper, what a catch downfield. Another big play through the air for the Storm. Wow. It's just a swap fade right here, and Plummer just gives this guy a chance. Man, what a catch. Does he come down in bounds, though? Does he get a knee down? Oh, I think his elbow comes down out of bounds. As the first thing to hit. Remember, you only need 1 foot down to be a catch, but... I think this one might come back. DeAndre Baker also would have floated it up after that play. But, I mean, still a great catch, even if it doesn't stand. But let's see. 5:05 to go. Let's see if this stands or not. I think his arm might have been the first thing to hit out of bounds. Or hit, and it was out of bounds. But we'll have to see. Here's another look. So he doesn't catch it right away. But then he secures it. Blocked by the fan. And I'm not talking about someone in the stands. I'm talking about a literal fan. Is the angle of John Gruden the best angle? It really might be. But they do rule it a catch. It looks like his elbow comes down just inbounds before he rolls out of bounds. So Plummer over 200 yards passing, and he'll take a shot at the end zone. That might be interference. It is. They try for another fade towards the end zone. Chris Rowland was the target. But they call defensive pass interference. They try a double move for Rowland. The defender didn't like the call. I mean, I think that's probably the right call, though. He just interferes with his ability to get to the ball. You're great, man. Thanks, I appreciate that. Glad you enjoy it. So after the penalty, it's a 1st and goal for the Storm. Ball on the 6. So Plummer going to hand off. Here is... No, he's not going to hand it off. He's going to throw to the end zone. Call for a touchdown. Badger with his 2nd of the game. If it stands, a flag is down. And this one is going to come back. They had an ineligible man downfield. So the touchdown gets taken off the board. Oh yeah, their center is almost in the end zone. That is definitely the right call. So take the touchdown off the board, back them up 5. It's now 1st and goal from the 11. Here's the handoff to Rowland on the jet sweep. And he gets it back inside the 5 down to the 4. After a nice 1st down run. So 2nd and goal. Defenders show blitz here. And here's another handoff. Corbin fighting towards the end zone. He is down at the 3, so not much space there. And it's now 3rd and goal. So it is 3rd and goal here for the Storm, with under 3.5 minutes to play into the first half. We've got the play clock winding down. They're going to call a timeout before this play. So it's 3rd and goal here for the Storm. Wonder if this could be 4-down territory if they don't get this. So let's see what they come up with here for 3rd down. So 3rd and goal from the 2. Plummer in shotgun back to his left. Bring a man in motion. Plummer pump fakes, throws, end zone wide open, touchdown. It's Camper who makes the catch, the guy with the big play to get him inside the red zone. And now he finds the end zone. And Camper with a touchdown. Plummer with his 3rd touchdown pass of the first half. And the Storm about to go up 21-10. They pump fake the throw to the flat. They get all the defenders to bite on it. And that leaves Camper wide open in the back of the end zone for Jack Plummer's 3rd touchdown pass here in half number 1. And here's Michael Lance to add the extra point and make it 21-10. And it's good. So 21-10, Plummer 3 first-half touchdowns, over 200 yards passing. He has been so good in this game. He is 15 for 18 at 213 yards and 3 touchdowns. He has as many incompletions as he has touchdowns. And he just continues to add to his MVP case. I mean, I feel like he's consistently gotten better as the year has gone on, which, I mean, is what you would expect. Because he started the year, I mean, he was okay to start the year. He did have a nice game against the Kings in week 3. But then a couple games where he just didn't really do a ton, but since then, he's played very well. Stallions, he threw for 324 yards, 2 touchdowns. Then the Gamblers, another 2 scores. Last week, threw for 238, ran for 70 and 2 scores. And today, in the first half, he's already at 213 and 3 scores. So he is definitely building that MVP case. But we still wait for them to come back from commercial. We'll see how the defenders respond, as they're now down by 11. which is the largest lead of the day for either side. I mean, it would be impossible for the defenders to lead by 11 when they've only got 10 points, so kind of a dumb thing to say. But it is the most they've trailed by in this game. So we'll see how the defenders respond. They also get the ball to start the second half, so not totally in a terrible spot right now, despite being down 11. Because you've got 3:17 here before halftime, and you get the ball after halftime. So in an okay spot, despite trailing by 2 scores. So the kickoff is away, and it's going to get brought back here by Xavier Valade from the 4-yard line. So here is Valade, and he's tripped up at the 26. Good kick coverage there for the Storm. So 1st and 10 here for the defenders. Let's see what they do here before halftime. We'll start off on the ground. Deion Jackson's got a ton of space as he runs somebody over against 12 on the first play of the drive. He has run the ball very well in this game. I mean, he has all year. I mean, he leads the league in touchdowns with 7 for a reason. Sanders pump fakes about 5 times and then throws into a closing window. He's very lucky that is just incomplete. He is lucky for that one. So 2nd and 10. Now they go to the ground. Here's Valade, and he goes nowhere. He stopped pretty much at the line of scrimmage. And it's 3rd down. Defenders tackle Yasir Durant, who left the game earlier with an injury. He's out for the rest of the game with a left knee injury. So that is now back-to-back weeks a key player of this DC offense leaves the game with an injury to their knee. Last week was Teamu. This week, it's Yasir Durant. Obviously, hopefully both players are okay. It's not a serious injury. I mean, for Teamu, we don't know exactly what the injury is, but we do know he's out for the year. Hopefully that's not the case for Yasir Durant. But we still wait for them to come back from commercial, now at the 2-minute warning of the first half. The defenders have a 3rd and 9 at their own 39. Down by 11. We will see what they can do here. Alright, so now they're back from commercial after the 2-minute warning. But before this third down play, we've got a timeout by the Storm. So that's their second, leaves them with 1 remaining. Interesting to see them use a timeout right out of the 2-minute warning without even anything happening, but I guess they didn't like something. So 3rd and 9. So Sanders and shotgun validated to his left. And wow, a lot of early move from both sides. Well, we're going to get a false start here against the defenders, back with another 5. And make this third down even more difficult. So it's now 3rd and 14. So 3rd and 14. Sanders going to look to throw. Sanders pressured and sacked. Back at the 22-yard line. Spencer Sanders gets taken down. The Storm defense is going to force another punt. And the Storm call their 3rd and final timeout with 1:54 to go in the first half, trying to save as much time as possible. The Storm, they showed blitz, but then they dropped those blitzing guys out. Sent somebody else, he gets to the quarterback. And Sanders gets sacked. So it is 4th and 23. Storm defense gets another stop, and they've really played well after a slow start. The defenders are challenging right here. They're challenging the rule on the field. There was no foul by face mask. There was no face mask by number 10. It definitely looks like he rips his face mask off. Or rips his helmet off using the face mask. I'd like to see another replay of that. Alright, here's one. You don't really see him grab the face mask from that angle. We got Mike Pereira in the command center today. Is there really only one angle? So they're going to say the challenge is unsuccessful. Mike Pereira denies the challenge. He says the helmet comes off, but it's not because of the face mask. Because there is no face mask. So the defenders lose their challenge. I think there definitely could have been. I just think you need a different angle. But 4th and 23. The defenders punt and the Storm come after it. But it is away cleanly. Roland makes the catch at the 18. And Roland's got space. He stumbles, keeps his balance. Now sheds a tackle. And he's still on his feet. And eventually taken down at the 33. So, minute 38 to go in the first half. And Jack Plummer has already got 3 first half touchdowns. He's got more touchdown passes than Spencer Sanders has completions. Plummer has 3 touchdowns in the first half. Spencer Sanders has 2 completions. The defenders also haven't thrown the ball a ton, but that is still impressive. So first down here for the Storm at the 34. They're out of timeouts. And let's see what they can do. Plummer throws over the middle. That pass is caught for a gain of about 13. There's Elijah Badger with the catch. First down for the Storm, and clock also temporarily stopped with 1:32. Just like in college, till the ball is spotted. Ball on the 46. Clock is now running. Here's a blitz from the defenders. Plummer throws. It's knocked away. Roland had it for a second, but a nice pass break up there by, I believe, DeAndre Baker. That is just his 4th incompletion. Stops the clock with 1:20 to go. So 2nd and 10. Plummer. Pressured. Plummer gets sacked. Derek Roberson back at the 37-yard line. That is a big play for this DC defense. Roberson beats the left tackle right here. And a lot of time is going to come off the clock right here because they don't have any timeouts. We're at the 40 seconds. 3rd and 19 as well. And Plummer just throws short. And that ball gets knocked free with a big hit. So it's incomplete. As it's 4th and 19. Dotson made the catch, but a huge hit from the defender. Knocks the ball loose. And the defender's defense gets a stop. So here is a 4th and 19. We've got a flag down on the punt. This one's fielded at the 7. And the return brings it back to about the 18. But let's check the flag. "24 seconds to go. So we have a illegal formation against the Storm. And the defenders, they're just going to take 5 yards from the end of the play. And they will get the ball back at 24 seconds. Defenders' offense, 105 yards and 10 points in their first 2 drives. But since then, their last 3, 0 points, just 47 yards. So let's see how aggressive they get before halftime. They got 24 seconds. From the 23, Sanders looking deep downfield. Now he comes underneath. He checks it down to Deion Jackson. And Jackson got some space. He gets across the 40 to 44. And he heads out of bounds with 14 seconds on the clock. So, I mean, you got time to do something right here. Especially because you've got a timeout, and you've got a kicker in Matt McCrane who can make from 60 plus. We've seen him make 2 60-plus yard field goals or 4-point field goals in the UFL this year. So they can definitely give him a chance. They'll just get the play off here. Sanders steps up. That pass is tipped and incomplete. Trying to throw it over the middle to Kiki Kuti. It's 2nd and 10. 10 seconds left in the first half. So 2nd and 10 from the 44. Sanders rolling right. Sanders on the run. He's just going to keep himself, and he's out of bounds with 4 seconds to go. And let's see. He did cross midfield, but I mean, it's still going to be longer than 60. Let's see if they bring out Matt McCrane. I want to see it. And they are going to. So Matt McCrane will attempt a 4-point field goal. The defenders, I don't know if they have to call a timeout with the play clock winding down. But let's see it. So here is Matt McCrane for a 4-point field goal try. He's made from 60 back in week 1, which was the first 4-point field goal in UFL history. And then a few weeks later, in week 4 maybe, he made another one. So he's got the leg. This would be a... This is going to be a 67-yarder. It is a 67-yard field goal worth 4 points if it's good. It's on the way, and it is no good. He just missed it. And we go to halftime, and the score stays 21-10. That was really close from 67. He misses it just to the left. It looked like it had the leg to get there. Just barely, but it goes a little bit to the left. And he just misses the field goal. Oh, what am I doing? The defenders keep the ball and start the half with the ball. But we go to halftime. It is a 21-10 Storm lead at the half, as the defenders miss a 67-yard field goal before the half. There's a Storm up 11, but the defenders do get the ball to start the second half. And we'll have to see if the defenders can make this a closer game, or if the Storm will continue to build their lead. But while we're at halftime, I'm going to go take a quick break, use the bathroom, fill my water. I'll be back in a couple minutes. Alright, I'm back. So we've got the Storm leading the Defenders 21-10 at halftime. And, oh, I just realized, never went over my prediction for the game. I always just say my pregame prediction at the start of the stream, but I didn't do that, I just realized. But I took the Storm 26-20 in this game. And as far as an updated prediction goes, I'm going to stick with the Storm. I think they'll score a little bit more. And I'm going to say they'll win, and they'll beat the Defenders. Let's go. We're at 21 now. We'll give them another touchdown. We'll give them 31 to... We'll go 31 to... 31-17, Storm. But that is the updated score prediction. We'll go 31-17, Storm. As far as some stats from the first half go, Spencer Sanders was okay. He went 3 for 7, 77 yards, no touchdowns or interceptions. Nothing amazing. Wasn't terrible. Only threw the ball 7 times, so I don't really put a ton into the fact that he only completed 3 passes, because they ran the ball a ton. Deion Jackson, 6 carries, 58 yards and a score. Sanders, 3 for 20. Xavier Valade, 5 for 14. And Abram Smith, 4 carries for 12 yards. As a team for the Defenders, that is 18 carries, 104 yards, and a touchdown. 5.8 yards a carry. And then receiving, Kiki Cooties got 1 catch for 45 yards. Deion Jackson, 1 for 21. And Cornell Powell, 1 for 11. Then for the Storm, Jack Plummer had a really good first half, going 16 for 21 for 225 yards and 3 touchdowns, although they were not good on the ground. Jashawn Corbin, 6 carries, 16 yards. Elijah Dotson, 2 carries for 3 yards. Chris Rowan, receiving for the Storm, Chris Rowan, 5 for 89 at score. Elijah Badger, 3 for 16 at score. Cam Camper, 3 for 49 at score. And they got a bunch of other guys with 1 catch. But the Storm, they just continue to not run the ball that effectively. This is an offense that... I'm going to pull up their exact numbers right now. But they are not running the ball well at all. Right now, they're averaging 95.8 rush yards per game, which is 4th in the league. But, it just does not feel like that. Jashawn Corbin's got just 352 yards, which isn't terrible. He's averaging 44 rushing yards per game, which is nothing crazy. He's averaging 3.2 yards a carry. Trey Stewart is averaging 3.9 yards a carry. And Elijah Dotson's averaging 2.3 yards a carry. So, they're just not running the ball well. Plummer, he has run for 174, but I'm just talking about strictly run plays. It just has not been very good. Jashawn Corbin, he's averaging 44 yards per game, 3.2 yards a carry. Whereas you compare that to what he did last year with the Brahmas, he was insane. So he ran for 514 yards, 5.3 yards a carry. And it just has not been very good for the Storm's offense running the football. Give me 1 second. Alright, but the second half should start within the next couple minutes. So I will get this ready. There we go. Finally, we can spell quarter correctly. Some team stats from the first half. The Storm outgained the Defenders 235-172. The Defenders, the better team on the ground, though, 104-19 in terms of rushing yards, but passing yards, big advantage for the Storm, 216-68. Both teams have moved the ball pretty well. About 7 yards per play for the Defenders, about 8 yards per play for the Storm. But the Defenders' offense will get the ball to start this second half. So here we go. Second half about to kick off. Michael Lance has it teed up. And he sends it away. Valladay fields it at the 1. And Valladay brings it back across to 30. To the 32. So it is going to be Spencer Sanders back on the field at quarterback. No quarterback switch yet for the Defenders. Wouldn't be shocked if we do see a quarterback switch at some point, if the offense still doesn't do much. But Spencer Sanders in a quarterback at the 31-yard line. And his first play is a handoff to Abram Smith. He's done a lot of that so far in this game. It's been an extremely run-heavy offense for DC tonight. So here is a 2nd and 8. And we got early movement here as a defender comes across early. Or a defensive player for the Storm, not a defender. So they get him to jump off sides, and it's a free 5 yards there for DC. So 2nd and 3. And here is Sanders going to keep in the option, and now he throws it. I don't even know if that was part of the play, but he throws it to the outside, and a gain of about 7. I definitely think there's a lineman too far downfield there. But it works. And they got the ball at the 48. Sanders throwing. That's completed. Tight end Fairchild. Saw a pickup right there. So 2nd and 1. Wouldn't mind seeing them take a shot downfield right here, especially because you have to go for it on 4th down. Here's a handoff on 2nd and short. And no gain for Abram Smith. Isaiah bugs in on that stop again, man. He's been everywhere in today's game. So 3rd and 1. Play clock is at 0. And before the snap, we got a timeout by DC. So the sideline calls a timeout. Not ideal having to spend the timeout 3 minutes into the 3rd quarter. But they do spend one right there. Defenders will clinch a playoff spot with a win today. I believe they will also clinch a playoff spot if the Stallions lose. So here's a 3rd and 1. They're going to go to the ground. Valladay up the middle has got the first. And he gains 2 before he's driven backwards. So 1st and 10 here from the 41. Here's Sanders to throw. And he throws outside. Oh, off the hands of his receiver. That one's got to be caught. Braylon Sanders was the target. So Sanders can't complete it to Sanders. This one actually got tipped by the defender right in front of him. So that makes it a little bit more difficult, but still has to be caught when it hits you in the hands. And now we got another injured player. We've got a linebacker, Deion Jennings. Number 9 for the Storm defense. He's down on the field. Hopefully he's okay. So he gets up and he'll walk off the field. So he seems to be okay. So here is a 2nd and 10 from the 41-yard line. Sanders in shotgun, gonna back to his left. Sanders gonna look to throw. He gets pressured, rolling to his left. Sanders gonna run. Oh, took a big hit. A flag is down, but I don't think on the hit. Let's see. The flag is back near the line of scrimmage, and it's holding. So it's a 10-yard penalty and replay 2nd down. There's no penalty for the hit, which I like. That was a clean hit. He slid way too late. That's a really good no call. He slides way too late. So 2nd and 20 after the holding call. Sanders goes deep down the field. That one is incomplete. He got hit as he was throwing that. And it ended up going out of bounds. But his receiver ran out of space too along the sideline. Oh, yeah. It looks like he was actually trying to go deep down the field. Play clock's at 0. And the defenders call another timeout. So, here's why I don't like calling timeouts. Why would you call a timeout here? It's 3rd and 20. What difference does it make 3rd and 20 versus 3rd and 25? So now that is 2 timeouts used by the defenders on this drive because the play clock's been at 0. The first one I could understand because it was a 3rd and short, but this one makes no sense. What's the difference? I mean, yeah, you got to go for it on 4th down no matter what because you've already crossed midfield, but 3rd and 20 versus 3rd and 25, there's no difference. It's a waste of a timeout right there, in my opinion. Especially when you're going to go through a 5-yard out route. Though they do lateral back to Deion Jackson, so I do like the play. So they get a good amount of yards back there. And it makes it 4th down. They go with the hook and ladder. Although they're going to say they got enough and they're going to kick the field goal here. I forgot about the fact you could do that when you've got a kicker who can hit from 65 plus. So it's actually smart, although, I mean, I still don't like using the timeout. So this is going to be a 56-yard field goal for Matt McCrane. So it will be worth 3, not 4. And McCrane's kick from 56 is good, easily. Nice catch by the fan in the stands as well. So McCrane hits a long field goal. It's back to a 1-score game. As it's 21-13. So a long field goal try. It gets the defenders on the board. Makes it a one-score game. And they take a lot of time on that drive. Just to settle for a long field goal. They end up going 9 plays, 18 yards, but they take 6:25 off the clock. Just to kick a 56-yard field goal. But, I mean, that's a big three. So a 8-point game. We'll see what the Storm can do here on this drive. It's actually the first drive of the half for them. That just took forever. It was a really long drive there for DC. And we'll see what Orlando can do for their first possession here in the second half. So we still wait for them to come back from commercial. We'll have to see if the Storm offense continues to look good like they did in the first half. So 8:35 to go in the third quarter. We're back from commercial. And the Storm will get the ball for the first time in what feels like forever. So the kickoff is away. And it's going to be brought back from about the 4. And here is Dotson trying to make a wide turn and get the corner, but he can't. He's forced to bounce at the 30. So Jack Plummer, a season high with 225 first half yards, 3 touchdowns. Let's see if he can continue that here in the second half. So 1st and 10 here for the Storm. From the 30. Plummer in shotgun back to his left. Plummer going to look to throw. And he throws over the middle, and that pass is dropped by Chris Rowland. So a few incompletions as of late for Plummer. But still, really good numbers in the day. He's still 16 for 22. Plummer going to hand it off here. Corbin to the right side. And man, this run game just does not get much going when they hand it off. Corbin gains 3. So 3rd and 7. Plummer in shotgun. DC shows blitz. They bring the blitz. Plummer steps up, Throws outside. It is high and caught by Rowland, who gets back on his feet. Has the first and is all the way up to midfield. That was a little bit of a dangerous play there by Jack Plummer, stepping up in the pocket, throwing back across the field. But Rowland was wide open. So it ended up working out for him. A nice play by Plummer. And a tough break there for DC. They get pressure on him. Force him to step up out of the pocket. And he still finds the former defender Rowland for the first down. They go back to the ground. And again, Deshaun Corbin just has nowhere to go. As he actually loses 2 on this one. Make it 2nd and 12. So 2nd and 12. Plummer throwing again. That pass, wow, caught by Badger. Nice catch. And he gains about 15 and another first down. Well, this time a flag comes in. This time we've got a defensive penalty against the defenders. They're going to call roughing the passer. So give them 15 and an automatic first down. Wow. That's, not really a big hit. But they give him another 15 after the penalty. Puts it all the way in the red zone. They go to the ground. Corbin. A decent run. 3.5, maybe 4 yards. Brings up 2nd and 7. So 2nd down and 7. Plummer, hands off again. Corbin to the left side. Makes a cut. And another 3 for him. Man, this run game just is not good. And man, as I sit here and watch them just try to run the ball, obviously you want to try to establish the run, but they have not done that in weeks. So, I mean, I wonder at one point if this is going to hurt them. Especially if maybe in the playoffs they're forced to play a team that does a good job defending the pass. Force them to try to run the ball a little more, and they're just not able to do it. Here's Plummer with the option. He pitches it to Corbin, and that goes nowhere. A well-defended play by the defenders. They try a speed option here. They fake handing it to Rowland on the sweep. And then Plummer has the option to toss it to Corbin or run it himself. He's got nowhere to run because the defender's right there. So he's just forced to flip it to Corbin. It's like 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage. And that did not work out. So they'll be forced to settle for 3. Here is Michael Lance for a 35-yard field goal. And it is good. So the teams trade field goals on the first drive of the second half. And it's back to an 11-point Storm lead. We got a flag down, though. It's offsides. Will decline the penalty, take the points. So the teams trade field goals to start the third quarter, even though we're near the end of the third quarter now, 3:24 to go. And it's back to an 11-point Storm lead. That drive for them, 9 plays, 53 yards, took 5:11 off the clock. So again, we'll see what the defenders can do offensively. Just give me 1 second. Alright, but we still wait for them to come back from commercial. See what the defenders' offense can do, getting the ball back again. Wonder if we'll continue to see Spencer Sanders or if we'll see Jason Bean at all for DC. We're still trying to clinch a playoff spot. So they're back from commercial, and the kickoff is away. Valde, a nice return as he brings it back to the 44-yard line. Ball comes out at the end, and a flag is down. But if it stands, it's a nice return, although most likely going to come back. So this one will come back. So Spencer Sanders is back on the field for the DC offense. Ball on the 25 after the penalty. So Sanders throws underneath. That pass is caught by Braylon Sanders. So Sanders finds Sanders for a gain of 7. So 2nd and 2. Sanders on the option here, keeps it himself. And Sanders going to get out of bounds at the 48-yard line. That's obviously something we know he can do very well. Did that a lot during his time at Oklahoma State. Was a very good rushing quarterback. But from the 47, Sanders hands off this time, and Deion Jackson gains 3, getting to about midfield. Storm needs to tighten up. The score should be 40 plus to 13. Yeah, I mean, it could be a lot worse, or a lot better for the Storm. So 2nd and 8. Sanders going deep downfield, and the receiver never saw the ball, and it's 3rd down. Ty Scott, the intended target. Yeah, the Storm, they've had some missed opportunities, but still thought they've played fairly well. So here is a 3rd and 8. Sanders going to look to throw. Pump fakes. Now throws incomplete. Trying to get it to Mason Fairchild. And it's 4th down. And now the ball is like half a yard inside their own territory. So they can still punt this away. So they will punt on 4th down. And we got a fake here. The punter's going to try to run it himself. And that does not work out. It looked like he was going to try to throw it, but there was nobody open, so he tries to run it, and he barely gets back to the line of scrimmage. So the defenders try to fake the punt, and now a flag is down. That might have been the dagger. Yeah, might be. It seemed like he had no idea what to do when the pass wasn't there. But now the official's discussing a flag. So they call a personal foul against the Storm, but after the play. So the Storm will keep the ball. Is the Storm get the ball back? Although they are backed up now to their own 36, but still pretty good. 34, but still good starting field position. So here is Plummer to throw, and he throws outside. That's caught by Badger for a gain of 6. Looking how the defenders are playing now, Storm should finish 8-2. They play the defenders again next week? Why do I not know that? But yeah, they really should. Yes, Storm defenders again next week. Sad the defenders aren't able to play all their starters feels cheap. Yeah, if Jordan Tatum was healthy for this game, this would be such a good game. But unfortunately, that's not the case. But I definitely understand what you mean. Like, if Tatum was healthy, this might be a championship preview. But, I mean, I don't really think the defenders make it there. Now knowing Tatum was out for the year. But the interesting thing now is the defenders, if they finish 5-5, so the Storm win out, the defenders lose out. The Storm are 8-2, they got the first seed. But did the defenders make the playoffs if they go 5-5? Because they need to win to clinch a playoff spot. But I think there is also a chance they can make it even if they lose. Let me try to find it. I saw somebody on Twitter say this before. Let's see if I can find it. Kings and Stallions are 4-4, Battlehawks 5-3. So yeah, if they all win out, Battlehawks go to 7-3. Stallions and Kings go to 6-4. See, the defenders aren't guaranteed to get in. But let's see, I found it. According to the playoff computer, which isn't like affiliated with the UFL or anything, it's just like its own playoff. Playoff like simulator or whatever scenario. I don't know what to exactly call it, but it says DC clinches the playoff spot if they beat Orlando or if the Stallions and Renegades lose. That makes sense because DC's got the tiebreaker over the Stallions. Okay, so that makes sense. So it is possible for them to make the playoffs even if they lose out. But obviously you want to not have that happen if you're DC. And thinking ahead to next week, I don't think the Storm would be resting starters. Well, I mean, I guess technically they could, because they might not get the 1 seed, but it doesn't matter, because there's only one game. You don't care if you have the 1 or the 2, really. Like, I mean, it's going to depend on who you play, but if you have the 1 or the 2, you're at home, so if it comes down to them or St. Louis for the top seed, but both are guaranteed a top 2 seed, they could rest starters, knowing they're playing at home in the playoffs. That's thinking ahead to next week. If the Storm want to play starters or how they manage things, because I think you picked both the Kings and Stallions to win this week. Yeah, I did. So 3rd and 4. Plummer to throw here. Plummer pressure is still on his feet. And Plummer going to try to scramble, but he comes up short of the first down. So Plummer comes up short on the scramble. And the Storm forced to punt it away here on 4th down. Just a couple minutes into the 4th quarter. So Browning to punt. He sends it away. And this punt is fielded at the 15, taken down at the 17. Oh, I also just realized, never switch that to quarter 4. Battlehawks playing Gamblers, Stallions, Aviators, Kings, Renegades. I think those are the matchups. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. But, I mean, if the Battlehawks, if they win, and the Defenders lose... Wait a minute. If the Battlehawks win, they'll be 7-3. If the Storm win, they'll be 7-3. The Defenders would be 6-4. I'm trying to figure out what happens if the Storm, Battlehawks, and Defenders end up tying at 6-4. Yeah, I have no idea what actually happens there, because the Storm would beat... Well, no, the Storm would split with the Defenders. Because if they finish 6-4 and DC finishes 6-4, that means they split the 2 weeks, this week and next week. And the Battlehawks, they split with DC, and the Battlehawks beat the Storms. I don't know how the tiebreakers work for that. So maybe you would have to play your starters next week if you're the Storm. I'm not completely sure. Oh, that's... Yeah, they'd be 7-2. I don't know why I'm saying 7-3. Oh, see, if the Storm are 7-2, the worst they could be is 7-3. The best DC can be is 6-4. So that they can rest starters next week. Because if they win this week, they're guaranteed a top 2 seed, which means a home playoff game. So they would be able to rest their starters next week. So I've got myself all confused now. Just because I'm not reading numbers correctly. Like, obviously you want the 1 seed, but it doesn't really matter because you got a home playoff game whether you're the 1 or the 2. Here's Spencer Sanders throwing on first down. He finds Cornell Powell. There's a nice catch and run. Getting about 20 yards. One play, and they're all the way up to the 38-yard line. Sanders throwing another RPO. This time it's caught. Same exact play. This time it's Javon Antonio making the catch. Gain of 12. Spencer Sanders 8 for 16, 141 yards. And now DC on the ball quickly. Sanders pulls it and keeps it on the option. And Sanders another first down. He gains 11. And a really nice first few plays to start this drive for DC. So 1st and 10 from the 38. Sanders handed off this time. Valladay goes nowhere. Maybe got a yard. Brings up 2nd and 10. Under 12 minutes to play. Still an 11-point Storm lead. So 2nd and 10. Sanders looks like he wanted to go deep. Now I'll just try to scramble. And he'll gain 3 as he gets out of bounds. So it is now 3rd and about 7? 3rd and 6 is what it's marked as. And we've got an injured defender down on the field for the Storm. Hopefully he's okay. Who's playing next week? Should be some good games for a spot and seeding in the playoffs. Yeah, next week's going to be really fun. Let's see. They're showing some of the teams. Actually, here we go. Next week. The Defenders play the Storm. The Battlehawks play the Renegades. The Stallions play the Gamblers. And the Kings play the Aviators. So that will be very interesting. I mean, all 4 games, pretty important. Next week. So 3rd and 6. Sanders going to look to throw off play action, rolling to his right. And Sanders going to keep himself. He's got a lot of space to run. Flag is down in the secondary, but Sanders all the way inside the 10. Down to the 9. And I would imagine this one's going to stand. They're going to bring it half the distance to the goal with defensive holding called. So a big scramble for Spencer Sanders. And now the defenders with the ball on the 4-yard line. That was a 25-yard scramble right there. Have a great night. Thank you as well. Thank you for watching when you could. I appreciate it. So 1st and goal. Sanders going to hand off Valade up the middle, fighting towards the goal line, and he is in. Touchdown, Defenders. No, they're going to mark him short. So they mark him short. Valade goes backwards this time, taking down at the 3. They said Valade was down at the 1 because he got pushed into the end zone, and you can't do that because they banned the tush push. They banned all kind of pushing the ball carrier. So that's why he was short. This is a big 3rd and goal right here. 9.5 minutes to go. Ball on the 3. Sanders going to look to throw. Sanders steps up. Sanders gets sacked. Gets dragged down by Isaiah Buggs at a huge game. He gets the sack and Spencer Sanders goes down. Back at the 10-yard line. And now you've got a decision to make. Because you're down 2 scores. You could go for this. But they're going to send on the field goal team. Matt McCrane, 28 yards. Make it a one-score game. And it's good. But a big stop there for the Orlando defense. They get a stop. Get a big sack from Isaiah Buggs at a huge game. And they hold him to a field goal. So 24-16 is the score. It's now a one-score game. And now the defenders need their defense to get a stop. But still plenty of time remaining. 8:28 on the clock. Looking like Storm, Battlehawks, Stallions, and Kings win. Yeah, next week, probably. But I'll put up the playoff scenarios again. This week, there's a chance we know a lot more about what happens, because there's a chance we could see a bunch of teams eliminated this week. So let's see, based on what I think happens, so my predictions from my prediction video, meaning I took the Storm, the Stallions, the Kings, and the Battlehawks. So the Storm doesn't really mean anything at the moment. The Stallions winning, they can clinch a playoff spot this week, but it's unlikely because they need the correct result in all the other games to clinch this week, which doesn't seem likely. I don't think happens. Alright, we got the Battlehawks. They're in the playoffs with a win. So I think that happens. So that's, I think, our second team clinching a playoff spot. That is this week. The Kings can be eliminated if they lose and DC and Birmingham wins. I don't think the Defenders win. Although if they do, that creates some interesting scenarios. The Renegades, Gamblers, and Aviators, three teams I think will lose, are all out with a loss. So if they lose this week, they're eliminated from playoff contention, which means we're going to have about 3 teams next week for 2 spots. Because I don't think DC is clinching this week. I don't think the Stallions clinch this week, and I don't think the Kings clinch this week. So it's going to be the Defenders, the Kings, and the Stallions for the final 2 playoff spots, because after this week, I think the Battlehawks clinch, and we already know the Storm have clinched. But yeah, we got some big games next week. And this week. Yeah, the Battlehawks, they lost to the Gamblers last week, so I mean, they could do it again. I just trust them to win this one. Because I don't... I mean, the Gamblers have been decent recently, but I just still don't think they're the greatest team. So that's why I took the Battlehawks, but if the Gamblers win, that creates a lot of chaos. So the Storm start this drive, a screen pass to Chris Rowland. And Rowland going to pick up about 6. If the Gamblers win, that means they're still alive, which would create another team who could potentially make the playoffs next week. That would then create 4 teams for 3 spots. But it does seem somewhat likely that Columbus and Dallas will get eliminated this week. At least I think so. The Gamblers are 3 and 5. Yeah. Gamblers and Renegades are 3 and 5. You've got the Aviators, who are technically still alive in the playoffs. Not really sure how, but they're technically still alive at 2-6. And then you've got, obviously, the Stallions and Kings at 4-4, Defenders and Battlehawks at 5-3, and the Storm at 6-2. So here is a 2nd and 4 for the Storm. Plummer gonna hand it off. Here's Corbin up the middle, and he's got the first down, again at 5, as he moves the sticks. And we're halfway through the 4th quarter, 7:30 to go. So first down here from the 39. Plummer in shotgun. So many of the defenders might have came across early. Now a flag is down. Corbin with a big run. Corbin still on his feet. Inside defender territory to the 43-yard line. A big run for Jashawn Corbin. Finally able to break off a big run in this game. And the flag was offsides. Roberson came across early. So the penalty gets declined. They take the... they take the result of the play. But a nice run there for Corbin. Ball now on the 43-yard line. So Plummer in shotgun, back to his left. And Plummer hands off. Corbin in space again. And Corbin another nice run. He gains 11. And has a Storm first down. Those are his best 2 runs of the day for the Storm. Crazy to think that the Renegades were looking like one of the 2 favorites in the championship game after the first 3 weeks. Yeah, and now they're 3-5. It's really crazy how hard they've fallen off. So first down, Corbin again. This time he's tripped up in the backfield, and he loses 2. But yeah, it's crazy to think that the Renegades started 3-0, and now they're 3-5. And the Kings started terribly, and now they might make the playoffs. Same thing with the Stallions. They were 1-4. And they're in a position to make the playoffs as well. Here they go back to the ground. Corbin again. And he stopped after a gain of 2. Yeah, this is going to be the only game I stream this week. I'm not sure on next week yet. Maybe I'll stream a second game next week besides Friday, if there's a big game for the playoff race, but I'm not completely sure on that yet. But I do know I will be streaming Friday next week. 3rd and 11 here for the Storm. Plummer steps up, throws underneath. It's caught by Rowland, but he's taken down well short of the line to gain. So it brings up 4th down. And the Storm will send on Michael Lance and the field goal team. Oh man, Chris Rowland is hurt. He took a big hit on that play. Hopefully he's okay. He's had a great game. He took a big hit from DeAndre Baker, the former first-round pick in the NFL. And hopefully he is okay, although he is able to get up and walk off the field, so looks okay. Rowland today, 8 catches, 117 yards, and a touchdown. He's had a big game. But here is a field goal attempt from Michael Lance. A big opportunity right here to make it a two-score game once again. 47-yarder, not easy. From the right hash. And the kick for Lance is no good. He pushes it to the left. And it stays a one-score game with 4:02 to go. So the Storm come up empty. And the Defenders have a chance to tie it. A one-score game with 4 minutes left. They've got a chance. The offense for the Storm has really slowed down. A great start, but not much since. Storm tend to have a lot of close games, really blow people out. Yeah, I mean, that's why I don't really see them as this elite team, because they just are always in these close games with just teams that are not that great. Now, obviously, I do think the Defenders are good despite not having their starting quarterback, but the Storm, they're always playing close games. Like, even if you go all the way back, like, their largest win is 16-0 over the Stallions, which, I mean, I guess that's a blowout, but I don't know, it's nothing impressive. But, like, they beat the Aviators 23-16. Then they beat the Kings by 10, the Kings by 2. Then they won by 16, but then they lost by 8, lost by 3, and then they won by 1, and won by 7. So, I mean, all their wins are pretty close. Technically, they've won 2 games that weren't one-score games. But of their 8 games, 6 of them have been decided by one score. And I mean, you compare them to other teams who were considered elite at some points in the year. The Defenders, that they were blowing teams out earlier in the year before Tiamu got hurt, or really before they played the Kings. Because they had won 44-26, 45-7, 45-28, 24-6. Like, they were blowing teams out. Even the Renegades early in the year, they were winning by a lot when we thought they were good. Like, their first few games, their first 2, I believe, they destroyed the Gamblers, and they beat the Battlehawks. Yeah, they won 36-17 and 31-15. When we thought they were good back in week 2. Really, the only other team like the Storm is the Battlehawks, who are good but don't blow people out. Like, if you look at the Battlehawks, they're 5-3. And I think all their games have been one score. Or not all. I forgot about a couple, but most. Like the Storm. A couple of blowouts, but not many. But they're back from commercial here. First down for the Defenders. From the 37-yard line, 4:02 on the clock. An opportunity to try to tie this game. They'll start off on the ground. And Deion Jackson runs for 4 yards. The Defenders run for 191 yards in this game. So 2nd and 6. Sanders throws the screen for Fairchild. He gets a block, and then he gets tripped up by the turf monster. And then he gets back up, and gets inside Storm territory to the 47-yard line. Yeah, I have no idea how he fell. So first down, they go back to the ground. Here's Abram Smith. And Abram Smith, a nice run. He picks up 7. Yeah, that run defense, a little concerning. Last week, they weren't very good. This week, allowing nearly 200. Not great. Second and 2 here for DC. They go back to the ground. Abram Smith right up the middle for about 3 yards and a first down. And with the way this is played out for the defenders, the good thing about this is they can keep going on the ground. They've been so run heavy today because they don't really trust Spencer Sanders, it seems. So they've run the ball quite a bit, but they still can with plenty of time on the clock. Here is another run play. Abram Smith, a lot of space, and he gains another 9 yards on the final play before the 2-minute warning. So, I mean, they are running the ball. So, we reached the 2-minute warning here, an 8-point game. Minute 56 on the clock. Storm up by 8. But the defenders are driving. It's a 2nd and 1 on the Storm 26-yard line. This is already a 5-play, 37-yard drive for the defenders. But on the day, they've thrown it 17 times. They've run it 35. They've run for 201 yards and a touchdown, 5.7 yards a carry. They've completed just 9 passes. So this is a very run-heavy approach. I mean, I kind of did expect that, though, especially against a team that is really good at running the ball and against the Storm run defense that has just not been great. Pulling up their numbers on the year, the Storm, technically, they have the second best rush defense in the league. 91 yards a game allowed. And they're allowing 4 yards per carry, which is 5th. So nothing amazing, not terrible, but also haven't been like amazing. Like last week against the Renegades, they allowed 141 on the ground. The week before that against the Gamblers, they allowed 98, which, I mean, that's okay. The week before that against the Stallions, they allowed 103, and that's a Stallions offense that cannot run the ball. And in the week before that against the Battlehawks, they allowed 140. So, I mean, their run defense hasn't been as great recently. They were pretty good to start the year, but recently it has not been too good. And we've seen that again in this game. So, let's see here. Minute 56 to go. Ball on the 25-yard line. DC down by 8. Sanders in shotgun, back to his left. And Sanders going to throw over the middle. That is knocked down. And it's incomplete. Metters, number 22, with the pass breakup. And it's 2nd and 10. Remember a game where the Patriots relied heavily on the run to win. I think it was against the Bills, and the Patriots only threw the ball twice. Yeah, I remember that game. There was like insane wins in that game. I remember that. They threw it like 2 or 3 times. Yet somehow won. Play clock at 1. Let's see. Flag is down. They get the timeout in. No, they're going to take the penalty here. The defenders do have 1 timeout. The Storm have all 3 and their challenge. DC does not have their challenge. They lost it earlier in the game. So 2nd and 15. Sanders to throw. Throws outside. That pass is caught by Cornell Powell. Gain of 6. So it is 3rd down and 9. You've obviously got 2 plays needing a touchdown. So 3rd and 9. Sanders to throw. Sanders pocket collapsing, rolling to his left. Sanders on the run, throws, end zone, incomplete. And it's 4th down. Spencer Sanders is now 10 for 20. I mean, you technically could kick the field goal here and then go for the 4th and 12 from your own 28 as the possession play, as the alternative to the onside kick. You could do that. And that is actually what they're going to do. So they send on Matt McCrane for a 42-yard field goal, which would make it a 5-point game. Oh man, he almost missed that. It started to drift right for a second, but it curves back in. So here we go. They're going to try the onside kick alternative. So it's 4th and 12 from their own 28 as they try to get the ball back. I think the main reason the Patriots ran the ball mostly that game was because it was a bit of a snow game. Might have been during Mac Jones' first year. I think it was during his rookie year. Yeah, I think it was a snowy game. There was just insane winds in that game. I remember. Made it like impossible to throw the ball. Yet the Bills just kept trying it. So here we go. 4th and 12, gotta have it. For DC. 4th and 12 from your own 28. Sanders in shotgun, got a back to his left. Storm bring 5. Sanders pressured, stays on his feet, rolls right, throws downfield, and it's too high. Incomplete. Cornell Powell was open, but Sanders missed him. And the defenders come back, gonna come up short. And the Storm gonna hold on for the win and win it 24-19. As they'll take over with 1:30 on the clock. I mean, I don't know how he's able to get out of here. But he does. And he's got a receiver, but he misses him. Too high for Cornell Powell. And the Storm going to hold on for the win. So 1:30 on the clock. The defenders might be able to get this ball back. They've got a timeout. So they might still have a slight chance. Here's a handoff to Dotson for no gain. And the defender is going to let it run, not use the timeout. Actually, no, they will use the timeout. Defender's quarterback isn't related to Texans quarterback, is he? No. At least not that I know of. So now the Storm going to go victory formation. And Plummer has to waste some time. And then he takes the knee. Then he gets tackled. The Storm players don't like that. And now I've got flags flying after the play. So they're going to have offsetting penalties. So it's third down. So 3rd and 14, they'll take a knee again. But this time they don't have to waste as much time. I think he could just take the knee right away. He does. So there's going to be about 30 seconds on the clock. When this play clock runs out, they'll call a timeout. Oh, wait a minute. Because of the penalties, that stopped the clock. So that would have... That last play, if the clock was running like it should have, if there was no penalties, that would have ended the game. And we'd have no time left on the clock right now. But because of the offsetting fouls, it stopped the clock. So there are still 30 seconds on the clock. And the defenders are going to have a chance. So Michael Lance is going to come on making an 8-point game. And it ends up being a good thing that the defenders took the points before. So here is Michael Lance. It's a 51-yard field goal. So no guarantee here either. He's 1 for 2, made a 35-yarder, missed from 47. This is a 51-yard field goal from Michael Lance. And his kick is good. So it is 27-19. We're back to an 8-point game. So DC going to get the ball back 25 seconds on the clock. Let's see if they can do something with it. It would be fun to see some NFL quarterbacks that were starters, but not good to be starters in the NFL came to the UFL, like Russ and Jimmy G. That would be interesting. Somebody who might not be the player they once were, but still good. That would be interesting. The ball falls off the tee here. So 25 seconds, 8-point Storm lead. The kickoff here brought back from the 11-yard line. And on the return, it's a pretty good one. Getting across the 40, still on his feet. All the way out to the 47-yard line. What a return. That is a great start for DC. "16 seconds left on the clock. They've got a chance. But you can't take a sack if you're Spencer Sanders. Just think of Tom Brady and Eli Manning joining the UFL teams. Yeah, that'd be crazy. Because, one, how good are they at 45, however old they are? And two, that would be great for the league because you have a bunch of people wanting to see them play. Ball is out on the hit. They're going to call this a fumble. It's recovered by the Storm. And that will do it. A strip sack seals it for the Storm defense. And they're going to hold on and win this one 27-19. It's the game's first turnover. And now victory formation for the Storm. And that will do it. 27-19 final score. As the Storm improved to 7-2. The Defenders have lost their third game in a row. And they fought a 5-4. Brady's currently 48. I think Eli's older than you, about 45. It sounds about right. But final score, 27-19, the Storm continued to win. And the Defenders have now lost 3 in a row after a 5-1 start. And these two teams will also meet again next week in DC. And we'll see what happens then. But final score 27-19, the Storm, they beat the Defenders. And they prevent the Defenders from clinching a playoff spot yet again. So the Defenders will now be they'll be waiting on either the Aviators and Kings to win this week, or they'll have to wait to next week to try to clinch their spot in the playoffs. But that is going to do it for this stream, everybody. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to like the stream, subscribe, turn on notifications. I do my best to put this as often as possible. Hope you guys Have a great rest of your day or night, and I will see you guys in the next video.